Hey everybody, Joe Ringen here. I'm an author. I wrote a book, The Ballad of Ages, a tale of epic fantasy. I work in insurance as a hobby. I also read a lot, all sorts of books. I read mostly fantasy and sci-fi books, but I also love classic literature. And today, or tonight actually, I'm going to review a book I just got off the coattails of reading, King Solomon's Mines by H. Rider Haggard. This book is really good. I'll start by saying it's really good. I've sort of pushed it off for a little bit, but I finally got it at the library, and I returned it already just because I don't want to be late. But so I just have a picture screenshot from my book review blog. So anyway, so I got this book. I found out about this book, King Solomon's Mines, by reading another one of Haggard's books, which is like super unknown, I think. But I read it by watching some YouTube book reviews of other people, and there's a thing called Ballantine or Ballantine. It's an old publishing company who did a lot of awesome old fantasy books from like the 60s and 70s. Like a series is called the Adult Ballantine Fantasy Series. I'm gonna try to get them all and do reviews of them because they're really like unknown fantasy books. But the ones I've read so far are super good. And I kind of get sick of like modern fantasy. They're all kind of the same. Some are very good still, but these older ones I've discovered are very unique, very imaginative, written with more prose, like very good. Like Tolkien-esque, but maybe not that good. But like kind of like the Psalms, like it's poetic and it's so good. I'll One of my goals of putting my blogs, my book reviews from my blog online in video form on YouTube is to get the word out on a lot more of these unknown books. That's way off topic. I'm sorry I brought us off topic because King Solomon's Mines is a well-known book. But anyway, so the book I've found it through was another one of Haggard's books called The World's Desire. I'll do a review on that one. It's so good. It's so the Iliad and the Odyssey. There's a third. Well, there's not an official third book. Obviously, Homer only did those two, but Haggard took it upon himself to make a third, where Odysseus goes to Egypt, and that's what The World's Desire is. It's so cool. Uh, it's not like a poem, like an epic poem. It's written in narrative style, in a great way that Haggard write. Again, that's a different review. Let's get back to King Solomon's Mines. So I read this because I loved The World's Desire. So I picked this up and I read it in 3 sittings. So I don't know, 4 hours. Maybe. It's only a little over 200 pages, but it flies. It's good. It's hard to put down. What happens is there's a famous elephant hunter, I think, is his job title. His name is Alan Quatermain. And so he gets hired by some other Englishmen to take them out to, a remote place in Africa to find Henry Curtis is the gentleman who hired him to find his brother who got lost, is presumed dead. There's no confirmation, so he's hopeful. But anyway, so he went looking for treasure in King Solomon's mines, and then he never came home. So then they get Alan. They go on this journey. They bring Mbopa. He's a Zulu native, so he's a guide, and they all go together. And this is just good stuff. This is like if I was compare this to a movie. Well, okay, so now that I brought up movies, there is a lot of different movies of King Solomon's Mines. I've only seen one. I actually just read it or just watched it after reading this book. The 1980, maybe it's 1980, but it's with like Sharon Stone and John Rhys Davies, Gimli from the Lord of the Rings movies. Man, this movie is crazy. It's nothing. The only thing it shares with the book is the title. It has not. It's not even close. It's good, but it's like not even close to the book. So if you're expecting to read just to watch what you read on this book, it's not the same like at all. First of all, there's not a prominent female character in this book, and I know that's one of the gripes that you read online, and yeah, that makes sense. There are female characters. One is is the evil witch lady, Gagula, I believe her name was Gagula. So she's a bad female character. So you don't want to represent all womankind with her. Luckily, you don't. There's a great female role that people keep forgetting about in the online reviews. I forget her name, but she's the one that was going to be sacrificed, and they save her, and she falls in love with Captain Good. Anyway, she was really a good role. So yeah, that's that thing. There are women, good, strong female roles in characters in this book. People forget about. The other thing that is kind of hard to swallow when reading this book. So it's written in 1885. That's a long time ago, and so you get in you're in Africa. So the author describes the Zulus as having black skin, and the Englishman as having white skin, which is true. It's objective. I could see if people read that today, it would upset them. And I'm not going to comment really if that's right or wrong, but I think the author's intent was not to be discriminatory in any way. He actually makes fun of the whiteness of the Englishmen, which is kind of funny because Captain Good, he like lifts up his pant leg and he's described as having white legs that are like magically shiny, and the Zulu natives laugh at him and kind of always want to see his shiny white. I don't know. It's kind of funny. The but the Africans, the Zulu natives, are described very respectfully in like they're fearsome and they're strong people. So and the author Haggard, I read in some author bios, he himself like traveled through Africa, which is why his descriptions of the landscapes are so good. That's one of the best parts of the book is that he can describe the landscapes, the magical landscapes. They're not really magical, but they seem magical the way he describes them. I've never been to Africa. I would love to, especially after reading this book. I want to see all the cool stuff he's seeing. I don't want to walk through the desert with no water like they had to go through. That wouldn't be fun. But like, I would love to see all the different mountains and it's like a paradise where once they get past a certain point, I won't spoil too much. But man, it's a really cool place. So I don't think he's being discriminatory when he describes the color of people's skins. Maybe that's just how they talk back then, and it's like, I don't know, it's factual. So it didn't ruin the story for me. I could see it ruining the story for some. And if that's the case, don't read it. But if you can get past that, this book is awesome. Like it's an adventure story. It's a popcorn book. You get through it pretty quick. It's fun read. Every chapter progresses the plot, and they run into different dangers every single chapter. And it's just fun to see how they get past them. Like when I started this, I was kind of like, oh yeah, this is like Indiana Jones. This is like Pirates of the Caribbean or something like that. It very much has that feel. And then and then I realized like this book was written 100 years before those movies were made. So this guy, the author, and he thought of all this stuff. He's like with no influence from other like movies, and he wrote this just out of his mind, and that is very cool and impressive. How he could come up with a plot like this. He must have been on his trips in Africa. He must have been just thinking of, hey, what would happen if there was this cave of treasure and trapdoors and all this stuff, and it just seems like he's got his mind is turning and burning. So this was a good book. I know I can see why it's a classic. It's very fun to read. It's not when I think of classic books, I think of very like deep, almost boring books, and I've read them and I enjoy a lot of those. This is not like that. This is almost more of a well, it's an adventure book. It's almost more of a fantasy book the way it reads. So it's a perfect blend if you're kind of like, I want to read or I love fantasy and sci-fi, but I want to learn more about our world that we live in. But I don't want to be bored reading people philosophizing for 10 pages straight. So this is a perfect gateway drug into classic books. And I hope you all like it. I really did. Just if any of you have seen a movie of King Solomon's Mines that is close to this book, the way the book is written, let me know in the comments because I would love to see how this gets adapted faithfully on screen. The 1980 version is not that. It's cool, but it's not a faithful adaptation in any means. King Solomon's Mines, pick it up. It's a good adventure. It's a fun time.